Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Antie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. A little warm.
Yeah. How you people live down there?
Well, me, I live slowly.
I was down there for a very short period of time yesterday, and it was hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, and yesterday wasn't as hot as it is today.
Yeah. Oh, is it hotter today, really?
Yeah, last time I looked, it was 93 degrees.
Ick.
I know.
Ick.
But it's a dry heat. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, a couple days ago, we had a wonderful storm come through and a lot of rain, and then it got muggy.
Ew.
And no.
I agree. Humidity makes everything worse.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Ick. Ick, ick, ick.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what up?
Oh, same old, same old. All good over here. Nothing.
Well, my little birdies have hatched.
Oh.
We got 3 babies, and Mama and the father is sticking around.
Oh.
He didn't go and desert her once she laid the eggs. He's here. He's helping her feed those babies now, too. So that's interesting.
Maybe he got, what is that? What's that leave that they get?
Oh, paternity leave. Well, I don't know if this is the same one that had the babies just a couple months ago. They flew.
She's quite fertile if she is.
Well, they left Memorial Day weekend. I remember that, looking out there, and the nest was empty. So all of a sudden, like a week later, boom, she's back again. Well, I don't know if it's her. If it's her, the same one, well, I mean, I think she's hooked up with some kind of sex addict, if you know what I mean, getting her knocked
or she's
up
got
again.
Multiple partners. You don't know. You don't know her life.
I know. Well, I know. And it may not even be the same one. So, yeah, who knows? But obviously, it's a nice place for them. It's covered and protected from the wind, and not too many people come onto my porch. So they're happy.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't you have any birdie nests up by you, or did they all get carted away when the tree guys came?
Yeah, I'm happy if I left birds homeless. I have no idea. Doesn't upset me at all.
All righty then.
Yes. But I got to tell you, Antie Joan, we are well past the COVID. Correct? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the pandemic, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
That is over. And these restaurants who, cry poor all the time, poor us, meh. We can't pay our people, so can you please tip them extra? We're going to actually add it to your bill without telling you in a very small print. So you make sure you add additional tip as well, so they get double tipped. That's not always, but it happens. So can I ask why we're still using QR code menus and having to use our cell phones at a restaurant table to look at a menu? Are they really? I mean, I don't understand how we're not back to actually handheld menus at this point. Because to me, the last thing I want to do when I'm out with people is to have my phone out.
Well, aren't you a horse of a different color?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, most people are. That's all they do. They're on their phone all the time.
And I hate it. I always have.
I do too.
I've always hated it.
Yep,
so why encourage it by making everybody take out their phones so they have to scan a QR code to look at a freaking menu? I have a huge problem with it. And I first of all, not to mention it's really small on your phone. So, you can make it bigger, of course. But it's just the point that
you can.
Yeah.
You can make it bigger.
You go like boop.
So you can make it bigger.
Yes, Antie Joan, I get your Yeah. I don't know. I'm just and some go so far as you order your meals directly through the app, through the QR code.
Oh my gosh. Was this recently you
This
went
was
to a
recently.
restaurant?
This is at a brewery up here in Netherlands.
Oh.
So all you have is people now. Here comes the conundrum. The staff is basically just delivering your order from the kitchen to your table. What are you supposed to tip for that? Because I don't think that's worth 20%. And you don't have the same person. It's like you have a dedicated person. You have whoever's available on their staff bringing that to you. To me, that's a 10% at best, if not like $2. I mean, seriously? That's nothing. I mean, they're friendly, but they're not engaging in banter.
Well, like for instance, if you go to Culver's, okay, you put your order at the cash register thing, you pay for your order, they give you a number, you go and sit down. You get your own drink and you sit down. And then somebody from wherever, one of their employees, when your order's done, they bring it out to you.
Right.
You don't tip those people.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But they have the nerve to still have a tip section as you're settling up your bill. And I'm thinking, tip for what?
Yeah.
I don't understand what would be tipping for. I mean, I did, but I left way less. I think I left a $2 tip, to be quite frank. We had 2 rounds of drinks and we ended up getting 1 pretzel appetizer while we were sitting there just to have between 3 of us. And I'm like, $2.
So where did you order your drinks?
From the phone.
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything was over the phone.
Now, if you were in a bar, and
$1
they
a
did
drink.
that-
$1 a drink from the bartender. So really, I tipped $2 because we got 2 drinks.
Okay. That sounds fair. That sounds fair.
So I'm like, I just and this also happened when Hasey, her daughter, and I were at LaGuardia in New York. We went to a restaurant inside the airport. Same thing. The menu, the ordering, everything was over the phone. And I'm like, there's just really no need for that anymore. Like, I don't understand.
I think it's a cost-saving thing for them. They've got their website, and as long as you see the menu through their QR code, they don't have to print out new menus. They don't have to put out little signs.
But how did
or
we
whatever,
go
what the specials
from
are for the day?
Years upon years upon years upon years upon years upon years upon years of having menus and a 2-year pandemic? All of a sudden now it's the biggest cost savings anybody's ever. I call bullshit.
I'm not saying it's the biggest cost saving.
I
I'm
call
just saying
bullshit.
that-
I think they are just lazy. And like I said, a lot of them automatically still put a service charge onto your bill. And now what are you getting a service charge for?
Yeah. I don't agree with that. I mean, if it's just a couple people going into a table, I mean, if it's a big crew, then that's one thing. And here's the thing: the whole restaurant business, that's hosed up. I mean, first of all, the base pay of the waiters, the wait staff, is horribly low.
Agree.
So they expect them then, the wait people, to make up their difference, with the tips, which is fine if you're working at a high-class hoity-toity restaurant and people are ordering $300, $400 for meals and stuff. But when you're going to like a little, diner or whatever, they're just not. Yeah, I
agree.
it's
Pay
a
your
tough
people
life.
better.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
pay
yeah.
your people what they're worth. I mean, it's crazy. Our whole, you see it everywhere. There's tips for everything now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a tip jar out. And sometimes I ignore it, to be quite honest. Or they get the change. Because I do,
Right.
especially if it's like a walk up to a counter kind of thing, like Moe's Bagels or a coffee shop or whatever. I'll give them the change, but that's it. I'm not going to calculate out 20% and leave that for them because they took my order and filled it. That's like the whole point of their business. Like,
And there was even somebody that said once upon a time that when they companies have like those tip jars out restaurants, they don't give it to the employees. It's the owner or the supervisor. No, not all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but some have said that it doesn't always go to the employees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're a tip heavy, and I don't mean amount heavy. I mean just the request for tips is out of control here in the United States. You go
Yeah.
overseas and they get paid properly. They don't expect it. It's not even a line item on your bill to add a tip. You have to verbally tell them, I would like to give you a tip. Can you
Wow.
add on blah, blah, blah. That's how they get tips. And
So that's why you keep going to Europe.
no, because I still tip there.
Huh.
I just don't do crazy like I do. I don't do 20% because usually it's round up there. And sometimes I leave more. It depends if they're super friendly and they're engaging and all that stuff, or we ask for something crazy and they were able to accommodate it, kind of thing. Then I might tip a little bit more. But in Europe, they don't. Like I said, they don't even expect it. Whatever you leave is just icing. It really is a tip. It's acknowledging that they did something very nice for you. Whereas here it's just expected. And 20%, I've heard that people are even looking down their nose to 20% now. They're expecting more
really?
25. I'm like, you can go fuck yourself. I'm not doing that.
Tell us how you really feel about
It's
that.
ridiculous. It's just out of control.
It is.
So I still think there's zero excuse for them not to have freaking paper menus.
Didn't somebody say once they went to their doctor's office?
No.
Yeah.
And there was a tip jar?
Not a tip jar, but there was some type of implication made that they were expecting a tip. Now, don't quote me on that.
I already quoted it.
Maybe when we take a break, I can look that up.
Maybe.
But I know I've heard it. I mean, at some professional place, you would not expect to see that.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't expect to see it at a lot of places, but there it is.
I know. It's crazy. I'll never forget the first time I went into a Starbucks and I saw the tip jar sitting there. I almost fell over. I'm like, for what? I'm up at the counter. I'm going to go grab it from the other side of the counter. You're making me something. We don't normally tip the cooks. We don't normally tip.
Yeah, well, no, that all goes into
sometimes. Not
wait
always.
People, they're supposed to.
Not always.
And plus that, the chefs get paid better.
Right. But I'm just like, yeah, it's out of control. I miss the days of just being able to sit down and not have to grab my phone out, hit the QR code, try and figure out on their site how to get to the menu because it usually brings you to the general page. What time of day is it? Do you go to the lunch menu, the dinner menu? Then the drink menus are sometimes separate. And it's just like,
right. Yeah.
I just want to flip some pages and get to where I want to be. You know what I'm saying?
And some of us older people aren't tech savvy.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And when you have to type in your credit card into when you're settling up your bill, they don't always, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but I get super aggravated when it's a no, bring up the separate number keypad. So you're doing it on that little line and making sure you got to double check everything because it's really small. And, I'm like, guys, if you're going to make us do this, then you better pull up that secondary number keypad nice and big so we can all just type it in and be done.
Yep. That's a good idea.
I'd rather see it go away completely. Let's go back to proper wait staff. Let's go back to menus.
Let's go back to you give them a plastic card and they put it on this thing.
And they slide it.
They slide it. Yes. And you get the carbon.
Yeah, these they're definitely catering to the phone folk, and I'm a big fan of not that.
The only thing about getting real menus is you don't know where they've been. You don't know where the hands that have touched them have been.
That's why
if
you
you know what
carry
I
hand
mean.
sanitizer. So as soon as you're done, you use your hand sanitizer. There you go,
Uh,
germaphobe.
I'm not a germaphobe. It's just sometimes you get them and they're sticky or moist.
Hmm.
And, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still rather have
No, it doesn't
page
sound like you
turning.
would.
No, I would still rather have page turning menus than, than the QR thing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. I think you have something to share with our listener about Bill Maher.
Oh, well, the fact that he listens to us, he must.
Oh, yeah?
He must be listening to it. Yes. Because, well, when we saw the Civil War movie,
Mm-hmm.
the show after that, he was almost saying the same things you said about it. Yeah. Yeah. He felt the same way and he said almost the same things you did about it.
Well, I
And
think
then,
he must have our stuff bug though, because it's usually we've already talked about it as
Right.
we've talked about previous listener. We don't
oh,
air
yeah.
the same week that we record. We're a
Right.
couple of weeks in arrears.
Right.
So we've talked about it and then he says it on either that same week's show or the next week's show, but still
Yeah.
before ours airs. So it always looks like we're copying him.
That's right.
But
You're
we're
right.
not.
No. We said it
He's copying
first.
us. He's got our
Yes.
houses bugged.
If they could find a place well, I guess it'd be easy to find a place to put a bug in my house. I don't know about yours.
Killian. He's the mole.
Oh, and then we talked about, the Gen Z thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a whole new rules thing on that.
That's
So,
right. As a matter
yeah.
of fact, folks, that's what you're going to listen to directly following this discussion. We pre-recorded it on June 13th. Bill Maher had his June 14th episode, the very next day, had the exact same topic. So why don't we go ahead and take a listen to what we have to say about it. Although it's very similar to Bill, we have a little bit more of a rant. What do you think, Auntie Joan? Should we let them hear it?
I say go for it. Yeah.
All right, here we go, everybody. Enjoy. Well, there's so much wrong with kids these days.
You think? Could you possibly be talking about the Gen Zers?
Oh, potentially.
People don't want to hire them anymore. You think it's the fact that, maybe 20% of them show up for the job interviews with their parents?
That's just insane.
Isn't it?
I just can't even. The kids are coming out of high school so immature these days. And out of college, because that's after they went and got a 4-year degree and then go on a job interview and still bring their parents. What in hell are these kids doing? I do not understand it at all. They call Gen X, which is my generation, the generation that was neglected. We were the latchkey kids. But it taught us independence. It taught us how to do things on our own. We didn't need our parents to wipe our noses when we were 18 years old. We knew how to do all these kinds of things. We knew how to cook. We knew how to clean. We had chores, go figure. Half these kids don't have chores. They just skate. And then they get out into the world and are so baffled as to what to do that they got to bring mommy or daddy with them to a job interview. I can't stomach it. I don't understand. My generation went so far opposite from a parenting style and I don't think our parents were bad. I never thought that I was neglected. Not once.
Well,
my parents both worked.
Your parents are the same generation as me. So, yeah, I thought we were, pretty good. I mean, that's when we started. That's when women started working more. And that's why you were the latchkey kids. And
yeah, but it was just I didn't have a problem with it. We still had boundaries. I still had curfews. I still, there were certain people or high school friends that they didn't want me hanging out with. And they told me that and that kind of stuff. But honestly, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know why everybody thought we were our parents did such a terrible job. I don't get it.
I don't either.
And the whole timeout horse shit. Oh, you got to be kidding me. No way. Timeout. I'll give you a freaking timeout. You'll remember. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you mean instead of spanking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now see, I used to feel that way. But then you start thinking, why is it not okay to hit your spouse, but it's okay to hit your kids?
Hitting your spouse is done more out of anger versus discipline. Unless you've got the crazy men who are trying to control their women. That I get. Does exist, and that's not good. Don't get me wrong. But when you're working with a child, there needs to be consequences for actions. Sitting in a corner quietly to yourself is a pretty lame consequence. You think that kid's never going to do that again? You're crazy. You're crazy.
I think a lot of times kids get spanked out of anger.
Again, there are abusive situations. I'm not saying that there aren't. I'm saying general discipline for a child. Timeouts don't work. Here's the generation to prove it. It doesn't work. They don't know the word no. Their parents, they have conversations with their kids instead of laying down the law. All the parents now want to be their kids' friends. No, you're their parents.
True. That's true.
You are their parents.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You can be friends with them later, not when they're formulating their being.
One thing I've noticed too in some of the younger people is they don't rebel against their parents like we did.
No, they stay forever. Forever.
That's the whole point of growing up. You got to rebel against your parents.
Yes.
Then you move out and you become independent.
That's
and then you
correct.
form your own realities based on what their input and what you've gleaned from society.
Yep. They don't want their driver's licenses.
I can't believe that.
It's so shocking to me. And that the parents are okay with it. I'll still cart you around. Hell no.
No.
No. Draw the line. Now, I will admit, I do not have children. Never had children. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of, from our one listener, I might get some feedback saying, well, you don't have kids, so how do you know?
Sandy B hasn't had children either,
Sandy B.
so she's not going to.
Sandy B. She might come at me with this one. But honestly.
No, she won't.
If I did have children, 100%, I would have raised them very similarly to what my parents had done for me. Not the complete opposite and this timeout horseshit and this, I know. They would have their driver's license as close to 16 as humanly possible. Because now it's your turn to run out to the store and go get me what I need.
Oh, you betcha.
It's your turn to drive your ass to where the hell you want to go. I'm not carting you around anymore.
Yeah, if you've been working all day and stuff, and then you got to come home and cart your adult-aged kid.
That's right. Not to mention, it's the generation of everybody gets dropped off at school from a car.
Oh,
what the hell is
don't get
that?
me started on that.
There's buses for a reason. They should go on a bus. Like the whole fact that you're altering your entire schedule around your kids getting to school and coming home from school.
Dropping off and picking up.
What is that insanity? I do not understand it.
I don't either.
I'd really like to understand from my generation. Leave some comments, folks. This is your opportunity. Gen Xers out there, I want to hear what went so terribly wrong in your childhood that you're raising these kids to be completely dependent or not having chores to do, not wanting to get their driver's license, taking their parents on job interviews with them. That is just, when you sent me that, I was just like, oh my God, my head's going to explode.
Well, that generation is when they were growing up, like maybe in middle school or even younger, when the term helicopter parent came out. And I think that's all part of it.
Yes.
It's just not wanting to, I don't know. I'm too selfish. I want my own time. I don't want to have to cart somebody around all the time.
Someone's retort, because I have asked the question to a few people, has been that because we're both working, we don't get to spend as much time with our kids. So when we do spend time with our kids, we want it to be a favorable experience. And to a degree, I understand that, but kids need structure. They need discipline, or they're just going to be perpetually infantile.
Children.
Yeah. Perpetual children. And it's like,
they need independence.
They need to grow up to be adults. We need them.
Mm-hmm.
We need them. We're getting to our older years. We need them.
Yeah.
We need them to be able to do stuff for
Keep
us.
that Social Security money coming
I
in.
tell you what, I don't know.
Shoot, I think when I was 18, I was driving myself and my friends down to Chicago from the suburbs. I mean, into the city.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I was working downtown Chicago, taking the train.
A friend of mine drove us to New York City from Connecticut for a day. We skipped school.
Oh.
Not everybody
Oh
should do
my
that. But we did that once. We skipped school. We did not get caught. And she drove at 16 years old.
You go, girl.
The four of us, including herself, the four of us, down to New York City. We went out to lunch. We went up to the top of the Empire State Building. Well, they did.
My
I
gosh.
stayed at the bottom because I'm too scared of heights. And then we came back. But that was our big adventure.
That's what you're supposed to do when you're a teenager.
I'm telling you. But I mean, I don't drive in New York City as an adult. I can't even imagine how she did that, but she had no fear. Still has no fear. She never had any fear ever of anything, which was great to hang out with her because she was willing to do that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, sure, why not? But yeah, so the fact that, like I said, these kids just won't even drive themselves down the street to the grocery store to get their parents, whatever they need, or themselves what they need. And the fact that they still have to ask for their parents for rides. I gotta believe that just, like, to me, that would drive me nuts. Knowing that I could take this situation into my own hands, but yet I'm still reliant on my parents to tell me whether or not they're available to take me to where I want to go.
You're supposed to ask for the car keys, not a ride.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. It's crazy to me. I don't
I
get it.
totally agree with you 100%, except for the discipline thing, the spanking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother's
good.
weapon of choice was the wooden spoon.
Well, my dad's was the belt. Yeah.
I
No,
don't think
remember-
weapons are necessary. Let's put it that way. I think a swat on the ass to remind them that what they did was not acceptable, or what they said or whatever, who knows,
Yeah.
was not an acceptable thing to do.
I
But-
could see, if you've got a 3-year-old that's going to run into the street and grabbing him and yanking him back, I could see that, providing you don't pull their arm out of the socket. But I just remember as a kid in the summertime having welts on my legs
Well,
and going
if you
out
were a
to
better
play.
child.
Well, yeah, you would think so. Well, I was a screamer. But I had 3
Atta
brothers.
girl, that's what Ruth and Otto said.
Yeah. I guess things don't change. Some things don't change. Well, if it were up to us, we'd get this all squared away and
tell
get
you
those
what.
kids in line. And yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're to the part of our program where we discuss what we are watching. And Auntie Joan's got a good one for everyone today. Auntie Joan, what you got?
I've got Federer, 12 Final Days. Netflix? No, Prime.
Prime,
Video.
baby.
Yes. I just happened to come across that. Normally, I don't get into, I like documentaries, but normally I don't get into the sports ones. However,
either.
this one was well worth watching.
Hmm.
I think Roger's a handsome guy, good looking fella. And he's a not too bad tennis player either. So 12 Final Days is a documentary that follows Roger Federer from recording his retirement letter to his actual exit play at the Lavner, what was it? At a tennis competition. So it follows him and his wife, who I think is charming. I guess she used to play tennis. I saw that they met at the 2000 Olympics, and they were together for 17 years, supposedly, before they finally got married. And now they have 4 kids, 2 sets of twins. So I loved the old clips when they showed Roger as a kid learning, being a ball boy, one of those kids that runs across the court and picks the balls up. And yeah, I was never much of a tennis fan. I thought watching tennis on TV was kind of like watching golf on TV. I just couldn't get into it. And then
we
I
watched
got
golf
married.
on TV to take a nap. Seriously.
I watch murder stories to take a nap. That calms me and soothes my soul. But then I got married to Larry, and he was a huge tennis fan. So weekends, he would be watching all these tennis games and stuff. And that's when I got into watching some of the tennis on TV. And I fell in love with Rafa Nadal when he was wearing his little capri pants, pedal pushers, as we used to call them when I was a kid back in the 50s. Yeah, I got to look forward to seeing Roger and Nadal and the Williams sisters. They were all really good and well worth watching. The thing about Rafa Nadal, as he had this, did you used to watch tennis much on TV?
Not since the 70s.
Okay. Rafa had this thing where after he would hit, and then it would be his turn to hit again. I mean, serve. He did this whole thing where he'd pick the pants out of his butt crack and then rub his hand across his forehead and pull on his nose. And he had this whole little routine that he would do every time before he served. It was kind of funny, to see a fine man like him doing such a silly thing like that. So after he records it, his retirement message, there's a few days before it goes live and it gets exposed to the world. And during that time, he makes sure that people who have been close to him know about his retirement before it hits the news. One of the people there said his biggest fan called him, and it was Anna Wintour, from Vogue magazine. Oh my gosh. That just blew my mind.
Oh.
Anyway, some of the things that impressed me was he speaks many languages, and it sounds like he speaks them fluently. Don't ask me because I don't. He seems French and, of course, German, English. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. They also brought in his former rivals because this whole thing was going to end at this competition. I guess it was Team Europe versus World Team. I'm not familiar with that particular competition at all. But so all these professional tennis players from Europe were all on one team. So it was Djokovic, Rafa, I think Andy Murray, Bjorn Borg was their coach, I think.
Now we're talking. Finally. Somebody I heard of.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Rafa, my favorite. I had no idea that he and Roger Federer were such good friends. At the end, when they, had the final match where they played doubles together. They were a doubles team together.
Right.
When that was over and they went into the locker room, it was like Rafa was almost beside himself. He was crying and just, I don't know if because they lost or if it was just like the end of an era. And I think Rafa also has been toying with the idea of retiring. That might have had something to do with it too. So what do you think? You watched it?
I did. Didn't quite understand the point of it being made, to be quite frank. I didn't. Now I don't follow tennis at all. So there's that. I'm not really a sports person. Like I said, I haven't watched a tennis match since Bjorn Borg, John McEnroe, Jimmy Connor, and
boy, those were the old days.
Tracy Austin, and
I think they still used wooden rackets back then too.
I mean, Bjorn Borg was at least beautiful to look at.
I don't think so.
Oh my God, I loved Bjorn Borg, and he still looks really good. I wish he was still scruffy. I wish he was scruffy, but he's not anymore.
His hair and mine look a lot alike, except his is much thicker than mine is, but it's the same shade.
Oh, shade, yes.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a little bit lost on me, the documentary, because it just didn't tell me anything. Like, whoop, did he do da? An hour and 40 minutes of him getting sad and all these men crying. And I'm just like, all right.
I loved it.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And if I had not watched tennis as much as I had with Larry, then it would have been gone on me too. After watching these guys for so many years. I really had a lot of respect for him, and except for Djokovic, never liked him. He was the skinny one that with the buzz haircut. And
I don't know. Maybe if they had gone more into, they didn't talk a lot about his past and things like that. Like it just really was the 12 days. And I'm just like, okay. And especially since it started with him reading the announcement. Okay. So he's retiring, you know, like,
oh my
I mean,
gosh,
sports
that
people
room-
retire all the time. Like
that room that he read it from with all those trophies and stuff. Holy smokes.
yeah, he came across a little, maybe a lot arrogant.
Oh, see,
And
I didn't get that at all.
yeah, I don't know.
Now I compare this with the Beckham documentary. Did you
Didn't
see
watch
that?
that. No.
Oh, well, see, that delved a lot more into his family. And they did a really good job on that of describing his childhood and how his father David Beckham, and how his father really pushed him and constantly practice, practice, practice. And then of course his wife, Posh Spice.
Yes.
The kids, I don't know. I just assume they're probably prima donnas and think the world owes them something. But he and his relationship with Posh seems so warm and so natural. I'm a sucker for this stuff.
Yeah. I've heard it was good. He was on the Smartless podcast not that long ago and talked a little bit more about it. I'd say it sounded a little bit more interesting to me after hearing, you know, just them talking about a little bit of the highlights, but I've never gone back to watch it. I just, they were never a couple I cared about. So
Oh, me either. And
that's what other people
soccer-
have said as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and soccer just went over my head. I mean, I just never ever got into that.
Yeah.
But it was just nicely done. Just getting into him as a person, and yeah.
And how do you think that compared with the Federer one?
Well, the Federer one was more his professional side, and they didn't do much about him being a kid and how he built up to the player that he ended up being. There was some mention made of it and some film clips of it, but there could have been more just to get a deeper history on him. Yeah. But that's not the title. The title was 12 Final Days. So,
yeah.
And I did read somewhere too that it was never filmed to actually be a documentary. I think those
Sure seemed like it.
I only read this once, and they said something about this was kind of like for his own personal history, his own personal use. Yeah.
That did not come off that way. It definitely seemed like it was an intentional documentary.
Oh, those guys look so good in their tuxedos, though.
They did.
Oh, yeah. So if you like tennis and you like the boys from the 90s, 2000s, you might want to enjoy. You might enjoy this. I know Auntie Mary sure would.
90s, 2000s. When did he retire?
Last
it was
year.
Recently.
Yeah. But I mean, his big,
because he retired when he was 41.
right?
So
I think
90s.
I think he was playing in the 90s. Yeah, because that's when Larry and I got married and stuff, and would have started watching it. Maybe not. I guess that's something I should research, huh?
Well, I'm just thinking because he retired 2021, right? Or 2022, something like that.
Yeah.
So now he's 44, let's say. So that would have 30. I mean, 1994 was 30 years ago. He would have been 14.
Well, yeah.
I mean, late 90s, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess. So figure he started when he was 21. Maybe he was 18.
He started, okay. In 1998, he captured the Wimbledon Junior Singles Championship. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So when he actually started playing big time, I don't know. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't the 1990s. Maybe it was more the 2000s, the 2010s.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he first won Wimbledon in 2003.
Ah, okay. It was good to see McEnroe, even though he didn't really have much of a... He was
Yeah,
other teams. He was
I didn't
the other
care for him
teams,
either. Yeah.
I didn't like him back in the day. I like him much more now.
Oh, yeah.
That he's done other stuff, little acting things here and there. But no, back in the day when he played, no, did not like him at all.
Yeah, I never cared for him either. He looked worn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he's He's got to be in his 60s, at least. He's older than me.
Well, most of us are.
No, I forget. Like I said, he was on the Smartless podcast as well a while back.
Who is he married to?
He was married to
What's his name?
O'Neill.
Yeah.
Tatum O'Neill.
Yeah.
But no, they're not married anymore. And he's married to somebody else now. I don't know who.
Yeah, that was pretty tumultuous.
Yes.
All righty then.
Well, good.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. And today we're going to talk about Taco Bell Ding and the Jason Sudeikis commercials. I don't even know where to begin. Do you, Auntie Joan? Do you know where to begin? Go ahead.
No, I don't know where to begin, but I still like their burrito supreme.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, Taco Bell itself, I mean, back in the day when I wasn't vegan, it was great. Jason Sudeikis, he just needs to stick to Ted Lasso, that character, because it's hard for me to watch him in other stuff. I think he tries too hard at being funny, and these commercials kind of showcase that. Like, they're not funny. Little clips that they're doing where people write reviews or write something, and then they go seek these people out and set them up with secret cameras and
that's weird.
Show that they were wrong about whatever they said. Because like one guy posted that Taco Bell is only meant for night food or something like that, or not meant for daytime hours or whatever the hell it was. Somehow, but they don't explain how, they get this guy to go get some Taco Bell in the middle of the day, and Jason Sudeikis appears out of nowhere and flips over a sign that says, "You're the one that said this, right? Well, clearly that can't be true. And I think somebody's pants are on fire." And I'm just like, stupid. Just stupid. Because there's another one. I couldn't find it. There's a similar one with a different guy, same exact not the daytime, nighttime thing, but he wrote something else. And they do the same thing to him, set him up in some scenario where he contradicts what he wrote. And Jason Sudeikis pops out and calls him out on it. I'm just like, these aren't funny. Like, I don't understand.
I bet that's the same advertising agency that did the Uber Meals thing.
Oh.
The Uber guy.
Oh, I didn't even think to look it up on commercial. What was that guy? Oh, it was a dude that I looked, the online dude.
Yeah,
commercial somebody, I forget. Yeah, I don't remember. But and then the other one that I did send you was the one with him and LeBron James, and they're talking about Taco Tuesday. Oh, we should do something else. And they start doing these like little skits like they're in a sitcom, and like they're dreaming about like, this is what we should do something different is what they say, and then they snap out of it. Nah, I don't get this commercial either. I don't understand.
I think they're trying to be Jason Momoa Flashdance thing.
Jason Momoa. No, they got nothing on Jason Momoa in that Flashdance.
Oh, I know, but
too good. No, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying they're not even coming close.
Nobody can come close to our Jason.
Jason Momoa. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, they don't even come close look-wise to him in any way. And secondly, he's just naturally funny. And I mean, technically, so is Jason Sudeikis. I don't know who's scripting these commercials, if he has any say in them, or
he must.
I don't know, but they're bad. LeBron James looked at least cute, and he's just an adorable guy, but Jason Sudeikis, I just have this tainted view of him ever since it was reported, and it's true, how his ex-wife now, Olivia Wilde, was served the divorce papers while she was giving a lecture somewhere on stage. They literally... Now, granted, that was partly the guy who was serving her issue, but Jason likely is the one that told him where she was. And, it's just poor taste. And he
Definitely.
Just kind of comes across as an asshole.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So...
But and with Ted Lasso, his character wasn't really funny. It was more, little quips or something that he would say. He had more of a sensitive side to him that,
Yes.
yeah,
Though he was the star, there was such a big ensemble.
yeah, yeah.
Everybody had their stories going too, so we didn't get stuck with just Jason Sudeikis.
Right, right.
We got to see the spectrum of all the characters. Yeah, maybe Jason Sudeikis needs an ensemble
For his Taco Bell
for his
commercials.
Taco Bell commercials.
Well, they tried with LeBron James, right?
Yeah, like I said, LeBron James, but that was just one other person. I think he needs a group.
Oh.
Because I didn't hate Jason Sudeikis in the Horrible Bosses trilogy, or was it trilogy or 2? Anyway, at least 2 movies, if not 3. I can't remember. But he was with Jason Bateman and another character, and Jen Aniston was in it. And, they just had quite a few people around them to bounce off of, and Colin Farrell, so he had, and Colin Farrell actually stole that show, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think when it's him, he can't carry
I
it.
still remember him from SNL.
Mm-hmm. I didn't watch SNL then, so what did you think of him there?
I know you didn't. He would play this dancing guy on Kenan Thompson would play like a host called What's Up With That?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah. And Jason
I know the
would
skit.
come out and do the Running Man type thing. And
I didn't see
he
that.
was good with that.
I like
But
Kenan
he didn't say anything. He just came out and did the dance and then left.
Oh, really?
Jason
Yeah.
Sudeikis,
Yeah.
So they used him pretty well.
Yes. Yeah. From his time on SNL, did you find him
I liked
to be...
him.
You did? Okay.
Yeah,
Curious.
yeah. But then, I like Rafa and Roger Federer too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked him on that. And I don't remember any real characters that he played, but
Okay.
yeah, that doesn't come to mind right away, but anyway.
Right. Like, what's up with that? Like Kenan Thompson with
Yeah.
that character and so many others. I love Kenan Thompson.
That was a good skit.
He's so funny. Oh my God. So yeah, folks, we'll have the links. I'm sure you've seen them. You know what I'm talking about.
And I'll still go to Taco Bell.
Oh, I'm sure. Nothing against the product. They got to come up with a new spokesperson or put Jason Sudeikis in an ensemble.
Or get a different marketing group.
There's that too. Or get some SNL writers to write the skits for him. I don't know. Thumbs down, Jason. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Auntie Joan, anything else you want to share with our listener today?
Nope. I think I'm done.
You think you're done? Stick a fork in ya.
Yep, I'm done.
Well done?
Yeah, getting pretty well
Crispy?
done there. Yeah.
And crispy, are ya? Not talking about your gotchkas.
No, we're not talking moist here.
We got each other on that one.
Yeah.
And since Oscar is behind you, I'm sure he's happy to get his mama back. So that seems to wrap it for yet another wonderful pickled watermelon rinds. Thank you for listening. This is Auntie signing off.
And Auntie Joan saying bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.